Good morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you in best of health and spirits. Okay, the title of this video is why we need to radically reassess academic Marxism. Okay, let me begin this video by saying what Marxism is. Marxism is a social, economic, and political philosophy that analyzes the role of class struggle in shaping history and in determining historical events, direction and course of historical events. This famously was developed by Karl Marx mainly, and his collaborator and supporter and his mentor Friedrich Engels during the course of the 19th century, particularly around the middle of the 19th century. Okay, communism is therefore an ideology within the socialist movement, and the objective of this movement is to create a communist society, which is also a classless society where there is no kind of discrimination. People live in harmony with each other and harmony with nature. Also, all good, well done. Okay, but that's where the good news ends. It's also centered around the concept of common ownership of the means of production, distribution, and exchange that allocates products to everyone in society based on their need. It is based on the principles from each according to their ability to each according to their need. Okay, Marxism actually, even though Karl Marx was the progenitor or an originator of this hypothesis, it did not develop based by one individual. It developed over time into various branches and schools of thought. As a result, there is no single overarching Marxist theory. Okay. We also have a false dichotomy fallacy here. I've discussed this in detail before. There are various strands of thought between the left and the right. We have far left, far right, left leaning, right leaning, left of center, right of center, neo centrist, centrist, etc. Okay. For example, if you see Sardar Rajaji and Sardar Vallabhai Patel were associated with the right. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was associated with the left, tragically. And Rajaji, of course, some people claim that they were soft Hindu proponents. Gandhi belonged to neither the left or the right. He is his own category of thought. Okay, he spoke about the trusteeship principle, the chakra, and all that. He was, of course, not even an economic thinker. Okay, and nobody listened to him. He was assassinated shortly after independence, but later on, nobody would have listened to him. Now, coming back to Marxism, classical Marxism is the body of economic, philosophical, and sociological theories expounded by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in their work. This is contrasted with orthodox Marxism, Leninism, and Marxism, Leninism, which emerged only after their deaths. Orthodox Marxism, which emerged after Karl Marx's death, holds that the only viable and lasting solution to continental capitalism is an establishment of a socialist, post-capitalist socialist economy. Leninism is based on the ideas of Leninism. He wanted communist parties to lead the movements, revolutionary movements in their own respective countries. Marxism Leninism, on the other hand, is a communist ideology that became the largest faction in the USSR after the October Revolution of 1917. It was developed in Russia by Joseph Stalin and it drew on elements of Bolshevism, Leninism, and Marxism. Okay, Bolshevism is a form of communist government adopted in Russia following the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917. Trotskyism is a political ideology and a branch of Marxism developed with the Russian revolutionary intellectual Leon Trotsky. Didn't get along with other leaders, along with some other members of the left, and it's known for a permanent solution. And he did not believe that we had to rely or depend on the bourgeoisie, which would have had its own vested interest, he felt, and had. The revolution had to be orchestrated nonetheless. Okay, if you see the core concept of Marxist theory, we have historical materialism. It is a theory of history that explains how economic activity and economic activities alone shape social and cultural and economic outcomes. It is a form of determinism, economic determinism that things, I mean, only economic factors play a role in determining outcomes, and the term was coined by Friedrich Engels, and therefore change happens in relation to the economic base and material conditions influence people's decisions. Okay, economic and material conditions alone cause or prevent change, and therefore change is brought about by material forces. We also have the concept of technological determinism. It's a reductionist theory which says that society's technology progresses by molding the development of social structure and cultural values. Technology shapes how people think and feel and act, how society operates, and the development of social culture and cultural values. There are many various within technological determinism. Okay, and Marxist theory plays, of course, very little important to human factors, mind orientation, cultural orientation, psychological factors. It plays very little attention to motivation and the desire to do well. It is not largely data driven, Marx suggests. Okay, and the key concepts of historical materialism, the economic base, organization, society, and it's the foundation of its social institutions, class conflict. The conflict between the toiling masses, the elitist bourgeoisie, the proletariat, the petty bourgeoisie, and the lumpen proletariat. Dialectical materialism, all things developed through material contradictions. It's a reductionist view of GWF, Hegel's dialectism. Okay, historical change occurs when social institutions are no longer able to reflect the modes of production. It leads to the overthrow of the bourgeoisie by the proletariat. Okay, there are important stages of communism, such as primitive communism, the earliest stages in human history where people lived together collectively in societies. There was communal ownership and use of resources. There was no private property, and later there was an abolition of private property, the establishment of a pure communist society, and people give to society according to their ability, and people receive according to the needs and needs of society. Later, it led to a higher state of communist society. Okay, and of course, this is all hunky dory, but it doesn't work usually, as history has amply borne it out. Communism, as Karl Marx and Engels believed, would be laid by the foundations of it would be laid by the proletariat. And he also spoke about the forces of production, the tools, skills, and technology used to produce goods and service, the relations of productions, the social systems within which people work and relate to each other, superstructure, the political and legal institutions, as well as the ideas and habits of thought that are shaped by the economic base. Okay, and therefore we had different stages in communism. According to some of the scholars, such as primitive communal system, slave owning system, feudalism, capitalism, and the communist stages. Okay, and Marxist also was influenced highly by Enlightenment values, and these Enlightenment thinkers attacked the what do you say monarchic authority, and they attacked the divine right of kings, idea of divine right of kings, and the idea of class struggle, of course, has been spoken about by them. And they also spoke about the need to abolish private property to create a classless society. Everything was supposed to be owned by the state. We also have had the concept of Mao suit in China, government approved hairstyles in North Korea. E.O. Wilson on communism, he had said the following: great idea, wrong species, implying that it would work only for ants and bees, not human beings. Okay, Marx also spoke about the concept of alienation, whereby workers are alienated from their work, and they spoke about different types of alienation, such as alienation from the product, alienation from the act of production, alienation from other humans, alienation from human potential. Okay, and Marx believed that alienation is one of the core concepts of a capitalist society, and he believed that alienation is unfree, unfulfilling, and inhuman. Okay, and he believed that alienation is the result of workers being forced to work for capitalists who control the means of production. He also spoke about the theory of surplus value. Okay, he believed that the concept of surplus value, surplus labor, there are different concepts. Some of these are associated with Ricardian socialism, and the term surplus value itself was coined by William Thompson in 1824. He believed that Marx paid workers low wage, and then they sold goods at a high price, and they made profit from that. Okay, and Marxists did not have bargaining power. That is why the slogan "Workers of the world unite." You have nothing to lose but your chain. Okay, became popular among Marxist thinkers. Marx also believed that competition wasted natural resources, but this is not always the case. He spoke about the need for dictatorship of the proletariat. Okay, and he believed that a dictatorship had to be established by the proletariat and they had to overthrow the bourgeoisie. There are many criticisms of Marxism. For example, Communist Party rule has been criticized as being authoritarian or totalitarian. It's criticized for suppressing and killing political dissidents and social classes, so-called enemies of the people and enemies of the state. It is criticized for religious persecution, ethnic cleansing, forced collectivization, and the use of forced labor and concentration camps. It is criticized for economic stagnation, criticized for lack of innovativeness, does not understand the importance of technology or innovation, doesn't understand the importance of motivation. Okay, we have also provided additional criticism of Marxist historiography and Marxism plagiarism, intellectualism in our previous papers. Please read them. I cannot repeat each and everything and separately in each individual videos. Okay, what exactly is academic Marxism? Academic Marxism is a social, economic, and political philosophy that is used in academia to analyze and critique capitalism and class struggles, critique capitalism and class society. It also examines how class struggles impact social, economic, and political change. Okay, Marx also spoke about concepts such as analytical Marxism, which analyzes and critiques capitalism and class society. It's a school of thought that combines Marxist theory with analytical methods taken from the social sciences and the philosophical sciences. Okay, he also spoke about Marxist literary theory, examines the systems of social and economic power through literature and culture. How literature and culture reflects or critiques the social and economic conditions of its time. Okay, and we also have concepts such as Marxist educators. They try to bring about a revolution by educating the ordinary people, working masses. And Marxist thinking criticism also criticizes ident- uh, identity thinking and politics and analyzes thoroughly that divides the working class and preserves capitalism. Okay, Marxists also encourage workers to protect injustice. It encourages workers to agitate against the ruling class. Right to strike is an important principle, but it is no longer that much of an important concept. Okay, we also have some other types of academic Marxists that include armchair critics. An armchair critic or a fan knows about a particular subject from reading or having hearing about it rather than practical experience. We also have lounge lizard academics, highly theoretical approach to knowledge, champagne and caviar Marxist. Champagne socialist is a form of political term commonly used in the United Kingdom. Is a popular epithet that implies a degree of hypocrisy and is closely related to the concept of a liberal elite. Okay, and we also have similar intellectuals in the JNU in India. Okay, you please read the article "Left Out, Left Behind, Left in Between." This was published around 10 years ago. This is some kind of a parody on Marxists. This or one of the criticism of Marxism is all that they indulge in all talk but no action, revolution. Okay, fighting against injustice, oppression, but they do nothing. They keep on shouting. These are all sloganeering. Okay, and they also make reference to the so-called sacrosanct holy texts. This has been another criticism. We of course had notable academic Marxists such as Antonio Gramsci, who developed the idea of hegemony. Louis Althusser introduced a structuralist approach to Marxism in the 60s. Karl Kautsky is a key figure in early social democracy and orthodox Marxism. We also had left-leaning Marxists in India. M. N. Roy played a major role in founding Marxism in India. His full name was Manabendra Nath Roy. Okay, EMS Namuripad, he's from Kerala, and we also have had NC Shekhar and SB Gate, and we also have Ndram. He has been providing a cover for Dravidian nationalism. This, of course, reprehensible and deplorable in its own way. We also have left-leaning Marxist economists in India like Utsa Patnaik, Prabhat Patnaik, Praful Bidwai, and other people. We also have Marxist sociologists such as Antonio Gramsci, Louis Althusser, Henri Lefebvre, Emmanuel Wallerstein, Carl Grunberg, Antonio Lambriotta, and we also have Marxist anthropologists such as Maurice Goodelier. Okay, and Max Weber and other people also a little bit left leaning in their own way. We also have criticisms of academic Marxism. First criticism is it's based heavily on Marx's ideas. Marx's ideas were adopted without scrutiny. It is Eurocentric, based on prevailing mid-19th century realities, based on the limited set of issues, does not admit to via media solutions. Okay, and the future of academic Marxism looks bleak because its pillars are collapsed. If we does agree now, it is associated with the older generation that exists in the diluted form. We now have had the collapse of the USSR, collapse of the Eastern Blocs, failure of Venezuela, and for example, in totalitarian societies like democratic socialist societies like Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro rigged the election. This is what happens in totalitarian societies. Marxist ideology is being accused of being Eurocentric. However, there are feeble extensions such as the Asiatic modes of production, failure of the Chinese Cultural Revolution, output fell in billion star, failure of the Chinese Great Leap Forward, failure of Khmer Rouge in Cambodia under Pol Pot of Sarwat. Okay, and Marxist intellectualism deals with a limited set of issues. Colonial Marxist Imperial School of Historiography, that is the name I gave it. Marxist historiography satisfies none of the requirements of 21st century historiography. It may be associated, that's what I have claimed, I have shown, I have demonstrated. It may lead to depleted intellectual faculties, illogical, irrational behavior, loss of personal self respect and dignity, tendency to utter falsehoods and lies in the name of ideology, working against science, working against society, working against the education system, warped approach to the study of religion, dogma, non-objectivity. It leads to polarization ideologically. It leads to politicization. Politicization happens when you are intransigent and when you are ideologically driven. Okay, I have proposed approaches to identify ideologies. So please read that. They may also support religious extremism at times. For example, we have Islamo-leftism. We have suppression of history, violence, totalitarianism, deceit, calumny, etc. Okay, and if you see the drivers of competitiveness and foundational competencies is a very important concept. Marxist societies have, in most cases, they have not been able to foster, nurture, or inculcate any of them. I also spoke about the 10 gods that failed. There's another term like Islamoleftism. It's called regressive left. The term regressive left was used by Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, Bill Maher, and other free thinkers. And even Majid Nawaz, who was an ex-Islamist, used the term regressive left. Okay, Marx also has had a disdain and contempt for Jews and their alleged mercenary way of life, and even promoted and propagated anti-Semitism. I have heard absurdities from the far left, such as Sanskrit is a corrupted and polluted form of Urdu. This is dangerous because one kind of bias legitimizes every other kind of bias. All the 10 gods that fail may not be associated with mainstream Marxism. Okay, I've never made that clear. But they are associated with many, if not most, Marxist thinkers and the paradigms they indirectly foster or gestate or support in many cases. Therefore, academic Marxism is very limited. The God that failed, part one, Marx's economic process, a parallaxis, because over centralized systems fail. Okay, even Gorbachev had called for glasnost and perestroika. The God that failed, part two, Marxist historiography. I have spoken about Marx historiography by objectives, core principles of 21st century historiography, anthropological historiography, qualified historiography, investigative uh, historiography. I have also prepared a presentation. Read it. Dangers and limitations of Marxist historiography from a non-religious perspective. The God that failed, part three, left-leaning intellectualism. Read my paper on intellectualism by objectives. Read my paper on meritocracy. The God that failed, part 4, eradication of religion. Read my papers and books on religion on 21st century and beyond. Read my work on academic studies of religion. The God, because religion cannot be wished away with a man, like a magic with a magic man. Religion is the opium on Marx's side of the oppressed future. That's what Karl Marx had said. But religion is associated with identity. It plays social, political, cultural, economic roles also, personal roles also. It can only decline gradually, and it can happen through better education and awareness. Okay, that's what I have been saying. The God that failed, part 5, over centralization of power, supported by many Marxist, communist, left leaning thinkers. Indira Gandhi brought the Punjab and Assam problem on herself, seeks proposed a list of demand on the Anand Sahib resolution. Indira Gandhi refused it. Later on, the Rajiv Longowal Accords were signed. Okay, and read V.S. Nepal's book, written in the around 70s or 80s, India, A Million Beauties Now. This succeeded his earlier books like Area of Darkness, etc. Sri Lanka's problems were also partly made over USSR. The God that failed, part 6, linguistic uniformity. Over centralization leads to discrimination. Over centralization leads to abuse of human rights. Hindi imposition in India and non-Hindi speaking states, same in Sri Lanka and USSR under Brezhnev. Okay, you can have one country and 22 languages, or 22 countries and one language. Okay, there is a same thing holds good for India and Sri Lanka as well. The God that failed, part 7, family planning. Of course, this is nothing to do with mainstream Marxism, but this is what happens if you ignore the human element. Nothing can be done by force. Okay, policy paradigms that do not understand the human psyche will fail. Like we had Sanjay Gandhi's forced sterilization and vasectomy campaigns in North India. Young boys were also sterilized forcibly. Naturally, there was a reaction. Guarded field basis of nationalism, unity and diversity must be pursued. Okay, over centralization and trying to enforce uniformity through artificial method will not fail. The God that failed, part 9, theological concept of God. We had revisited the idea of God in a previous book. The God that failed, part 10, basis of rationalism. We had revisited the idea of rationalism in the previous paper. Please read my previous papers of this. We also had a book called The Black Book of Communism, Crimes, Terror, Repression. It was originally a French book written in 1997 by Stéphanie Courtois, Andrej Pachkowski, Nicolas Wirth, Jean-Louis Margolin, and several other European academics. It says that it has killed millions of people through genocides, extrajudicial executions, deportations, labor camps, artificial created famines, etc. We of course have right-wing extremists in India, especially some years ago. It was very bad, pathetic. We had lynching, targeting Muslims, targeting Christians, targeting rationalists. For example, people like Narendra Dabolkar were killed. So was Govind Pansare in Kolhapur, Gauri Lankesh in Bangalore in September 2017. Kalburgi was killed in Dharwad on August 30th, 2020, 2015, targeting Dalits. We also have left-wing extremism in India. This is, of course, associated with a far left alone, which has been condemned by many Marxists also. Even Prakash Karat has condemned it because they want revolution at any cost. Okay, instead of this, trickle-up solutions are the only way. According to South Asia, not socialism. So, according to South Asia Terrorism Portal, 8,222 people were killed in left-wing terrorism between 2005 and 2022. Similar statistics have been collected by another think tank called Mantraya. I'm not sure how reliable and accurate the latter is. First one seems to be quite reliable. We also have concepts of Maoism, Maoist rebels, and there is a difference between the far left and left-leaning intellectuals. Maoist rebels want revolution at gunpoint. Maoist rebels are criticized by Prakash Karat himself. Not everything is black and white. There are various shades in it. So you cannot have a tech first academic policy. If you see the way forward, number one, all assumptions must be revisited from scratch. This is the way forward for Marxism. 21st century realities must be taken into account. Applicability across space and time should be pursued. See how equitable development models can be developed. See how equitable development models can be implemented. Moving away from Eurocentric frameworks, cross cultural studies must be encouraged. See how workers' rights can be protected within a capitalistic framework. Research on new concepts such as welfareism and social society. Data-driven research. Scientific method to be followed. Okay, I have written large number of papers in scientific method. Please read them, like sociological nature and rule certain principle. Research on anthropological factors driving economic outcomes must be done. Emphasis must be placed on technology. Emphasis on the right case of education, right kind of education. We need to come up with 21st century concepts on education. Human touch must be retained, and the importance of culture must be understood. Emphasis on human satisfaction, enrichment, and fulfillment. Emphasis on ecologically friendly development models. Emphasis on friendly international relations. Applying a human touch in relation to religious and cultural issues. Looking for ways and means to make humans more productive and resourceful. Thorough, robust 21st century intellectualism is required. Solutions must be found for all problems playing society. Practicalism and pragmatism are required. Okay, these are my thoughts on this. But of course, we need to revisit academic Marxism, which itself is on its deathbed. It's mostly associated with very old, senile people, or it is degenerating into a very diluted form. This may be a manna from heaven, blessing in disguise, but so be it. We have to change with the times. This is the moral of the story. Thank you.